So you decided to purchase a home, you've saved your money, and you decided you're going to pay cash instead of getting a mortgage. And that's fine because you don't want to go through the hassle of going to the lender and filling out all the paperwork. But here's some tips and tricks that you may not know. If you're paying cash, and this is based upon my last couple of transactions, if you're paying cash, I want you to call your bank, whether it's a credit union, whether it's a small local institution, call them, sit down with your banker, and I want you to say, what does it look like for you to wire the money to a closing attorney in Hardeeville, South Carolina? Can you do it? How long does it take? Is there anything I need to know? Because when you're writing a contract for cash, typically there's not a lot of parameters. You sign the contract, you do all of the contingencies, and then you close. But my last two transactions had a little bit of a hiccup. And the one that happened was just yesterday when he was trying to wire his funds from a small local credit union, which would be fine, except he wasn't from Savannah. He was from away, and his credit union wasn't able to wire the funds from his credit union, wherever it was, to Savannah, Georgia. They even tried going to a sister credit union. It didn't work. Thankfully, the closing attorney had a solution that cost the buyer money, but with him trying to pay 50 cents in interest, it cost him $500 to transfer the money a different way. So my best practice to you is call and find out what it's going to take. And also, my second best practice, don't do it at the closing table. Send it to the attorney. Make sure it's there. I know you probably have some angst about what the final number is going to be, but the closing attorney will give you any additional money. Also, if you work with a small local bank, one of my transactions, the buyer was working with a small local bank and they didn't wire money. So everything he did was with a cashier's check. And one of the things he did was he overnighted it through the post office and asked for a signature. Well, of course, they tried to deliver it when there was nobody at the closing attorney's office. So we played the game of find the earnest money check. And that was a fun game because it was like $10,000. But the small institution would still not wire the funds, so they had to give us a cashier's check for the balance at closing, which added some days onto the end of the transaction because they had to send the funds, the closing attorney had to receive it, then they had to take it and deposit it in the bank, and then the bank had to give them the clear once the check had cleared, because even then there's fraud, right? So that added a couple of days and a whole lot of angst to all parties. So one of your best practices, even if you're paying cash, even if it's Wells Fargo, even if it's Charles Schwab, call your banker. Pick up the phone, make an appointment. If you can, go in face-to-face and say, I'm buying a house in Hardeeville, South Carolina. I want to pay cash. Tell me about the wiring instructions. Tell me about anything I need to know so that it's a smooth transaction. So sit down, don't try to save 50 cents, send the money into the closing attorney so the money's there, because if you send too much money, the closing attorney will cut you a check back. So for more tips and tricks, my name is Penny Rafferty. Make sure you hit the follow button, and I look forward to helping you here in paradise.